All right, so this is the review portion of our multiplying decimals lesson. So a few things I've skipped because they're kind of repeats of stuff that were reviewed in the lesson. But let's start with the warm up and just make sure we understand the bare principles of doing multiplying by decimals. All right, so it says use any strategy to find the product of 2 and 6/10 and 3 and 9/10. So let's just rewrite this vertically. Anytime you see a question that's like horizontal like this, it's probably best just to rewrite it instead of trying to work it from the side. Um, I still am not sure why some math companies still have them on the side like that, but let's figure this out. So 9 times 6 we know is 54. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 5 is 23. Let's put our placeholder 0, and I'm going to cross off what I carried over because I don't want to confuse it with the other stuff. And you can even cross off the 9 if you want on this one. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 2 is 6, plus the 1 is 7. Let's add all these up. Got 4, 11, and 10. All right, so we've got our numbers. However, we don't know where we put our decimal point just yet. So like I said, we will look at them like this. So these are two different place values. So I know I've got to move 2 spaces. So 1, 2, and put your decimal point right between the 0 and the 1 for 10 and 14 hundredths. And again, if you can handle that, then you have mastered doing multiplying decimals. So if you haven't, let's do some of these other ones too. Okay, so open up your book to page 341, and we'll go over this. All right, we're going to skip this example and go right to number 1 here. Gina rides her bike to work an average of 10 and 4/10 miles per hour. She bikes 1 and 2/10 hours each day. How many miles does Gina ride each day? So we can take our 10.4 miles. We can have our 1 and 2/10 hours. And let's do this. Let's get 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 0 is 0. And 2 times 1 is 2. Now, before I continue, since you're listening to this video and probably copying down the notes, you can always pause or rewind your video if you missed something or if I'm going too fast. All right, so that takes care of our 2. Let's do a placeholder. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 1 is 1. Let's add all of this up. Got our 8s, our 4, our 2, and our 1s. We see that we have one place value and another. That gives us 2. So our final answer is 12 and 48 hundredths miles. All right, go ahead and turn the page. And let's do the next one. Let's do number 2. Okay. Like you probably guessed, we don't want to do the area model at this point. We know what we're doing without it. Ezra buys carrots on sale for 90 cents per pound. He buys 8/10 of a pound of carrots. How much does Ezra pay for the carrots? So let's put 0.9. Now I could have included that 0, but I'm not going to. It is not really necessary. And let's do the 8. We know 8 times 9 is 72. I know I've got 1. And that gives me a total of 2. 1, 2. And it's 0.72, or in money wise, since we're talking about money here, that is 72 cents. That's how much Ezra will pay for the carrots. Next question. What is the product of 1 and 5 hundredths and 7 tenths? 1 and 5 hundredths. Here is 7 tenths. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 0 is 0, but that 3 has to come down, and 7 times 1 is 7. We have a 0 here, But you don't have to do anything with it because anything you multiply it by is going to give us 0. So let's stay with the 735. Now we have to figure out where to put the decimal. So this is 100, so that's 2 place values. This is tenths, so it's 1, but that's for a total of 3 jumps. 1, 2, 3. So it's 0.735, and that would be D. Now this is tricky. This one kind of threw me too when I read it. It says Aaron chose D as the correct answer, so I was already prepared to be like, well, wait, that is the correct answer. How did he get the answer? He multiplied correctly. Simple as that. I was assuming they were going to give us one where we talk about what the kid did wrong, but we just discussed what he did right. All right, let's look across at the next page, number 4. Number 4, you don't have to do any work, and let me show you why. So which of the following has a product of 195 thousandths? Now, I'm looking at this. Go and circle these right here. And that means it took 3 jumps in that answer to bring that. In fact, let's put it right here. That meant we had to jump 1, 2, 3 place values to get our decimal there, which means our factors would need a total of 2 place values. Let's look at A. This one only has 1, so that can't be it. This one only has 1, so that can't be it either. This has 1, and this one for a total of 2. And this one has that 3 that we're looking for. So the answer is D. So again, you didn't have to solve it. You could just look, what it's asking you is to look at your factors and see how many added up to 3 jumps. All right, let's do, we're going to skip 5. I don't like 5 at all. It's got multiple answers and I hate those. Let's go to 6. I also don't really like area models, so let's solve this one. 2 and 8/10 times 1 and 3/10. Let's just solve this one. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 2 is 2. That's 4, 16, 3, 6, 4. I've got 1. I've got 2. Oop, that should have been, I was getting ahead of myself. I knew that should have been 1 for a total of 2. And our final answer is 3.643 and 6400ths. For those that are curious, if you want to do the area model part, just for fun, we have 2, we have 8/10, we have 6/10, and we have 2400ths. And if you add all those up, those will give you your 3 and 6400ths. Again, it's just for fun. Let's turn the page. And we're only going to do the question 7. You can cross off question 8. Peter earns $12.40 per week for completing his chores. Ria earns 1.2 times as much money per week as Peter. So anytime you see a question where it says, it gives you this, how many times bigger, what you do is take the one number and multiply it by the other. And I know this whole lesson is multiplication, but if you see a word problem like that, that's what they're asking for. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 1 is 2. Placeholder. And it's pretty easy when you got a 1. You got 0, 4, 2, and 1. If you ever noticed that when you got a 1, you just basically going to just write what is there and just put it there. All right, we'll add up 0. We have 8. We have 8. We have 4. And we have 1. We have 2 place values here. We have 1 place value here. So we're going to have a total of 3 skip overs, jumps. Go 1, 2, 3. And the answer is $14.88. Okay. So that's it for our review for this lesson. Again, we're skipping 8. And let's look at our classwork. So IXL is the very next lesson. We did 3 in a row, and today is I-17. You're going to multiply 2 decimals, and your products or your answers could be up to the thousandths place. So if you get those, it's probably you'll probably get a few of those, but not every one. But the limit will be the thousandths place. All right, good luck, and let me know if you need any help.